particularly when you're starting out or like mid-level, I think the tendency is to want to reach out to people who are really senior. But actually, it can be just so nice to find other people who are at a similar point to you.
Welcome today. I'm here with Sophie Claypole, and today we're here for Elle Talks. And to start, I just wanted to ask, can you tell us a bit about your role at Banijay?
Yeah, of course. So I'm a development assistant producer in the Creative Networks team. So I work under James Townley, and my team's role is to find the formats that we think have potential to travel internationally, and we support the development of unscripted IP throughout the Banijay group.
And was there a moment that really shaped your career?
Yeah, I think so. I actually started my life in Banijay Kids as a development assistant and a coordinator. And while I was there, I had the opportunity to go work on one of the productions that I'd been working in development for. I was really nervous because I'd never done production. But actually, I think it was so important to see a whole production all the way through, because you realize all the choices you make in development that are a nightmare in production. You're like, who signed off this many locations? Like, this is crazy. And figuring out how the budgets work and the schedules work and those creative decisions impacting the whole process, I think it made me much better at development. And I think stepping into that different section of the industry was so impactful.
What do you think's been the biggest influence on your career so far?
A couple of years ago, I did a postgraduate at the NFTS in script development. So that was a 14-month course that I did outside of work. And the course was amazing. I learned so much doing it. But I think the biggest impact was all the people who were on my course. So there was a TV journalist, there were a couple people who worked in commissioning teams, true crime, all across the industry. Great as it is to work in a company like Banijay, I think you see one way of working, and getting to work with people who worked for all different kinds of businesses or freelancers just showed me how big the industry was and how much there was to learn. And I'm still in touch with those people. And I think that was such a great opportunity. I'm really grateful for that.
What advice have you been given in your life throughout your career? And what advice do you still need to hear?
So I think something I've been hearing a lot recently that I think I still need to kind of absorb is I've heard a few very senior people talk about their careers as kind of surprising them or being non-linear. And you look at these people who are really senior and really impressive and you think wow, you must have had it all figured out. And I think it is important to remember that it's a journey and you don't know where you're going to be in 5 years, and that's actually fine. And sometimes I have to remind myself that I don't have to know all the answers right now. You just have to learn where you are. The advice I give a lot is that a network is really important, not just because that's where you're going to get a job probably, but also because I think our industry can be really hard and really stressful, and it can be really nice to connect with people who love what they're doing and who are making really cool stuff, because that reminds you why you love it and that makes it feel much less lonely. And so I think just finding friends and peers and people who like the same stuff as you does just make it so much easier.
Especially as a young person too, I think it's difficult doing that and just putting yourself out there, especially when you're not really trained to know how to do that.
I think you're so right. And particularly when you're starting out or mid-level, I think the tendency is to want to reach out to people who are really senior. But actually, it can be just so nice to find other people who are at a similar point to you. And when you're at networking drinks, you just have to remember that everybody hates it. Nobody enjoys networking, and you are not the only one in the room who's sitting there feeling terrible. And so you just have to go be this is really horrible. Can we talk? And that does help, I think.
Within your career so far, have you made a move that felt risky at the time and paid off, or has there ever been a risk that you've taken?
Yeah, I moved to London with a 3-week runner job and took out a lease on a flat. And I had no money and no connections. And obviously that was stupid. And it actually massively paid off because I then got an internship here at RDF and then took a role in Banijay Kids. And so kind of turned it into a whole career. But I don't think anyone should do that. I really don't think you should move to London on 3 weeks work. But I was quite lucky.
A bit of a fun question. If there was a show that you could be a contestant on, what would that show be?
We have a really exciting new title that we're going to be showing off at London screenings, which is called Who's Guilty? And it's an improv crime show where comedians have to try and get away with murder in an improv setting. And when I was at uni, I tried out for an improv troupe and I was terrible. So I love the idea of having another go in a format that I think seems really, really fun.
I feel also linking that to careers too. With improv, it is, I guess that's an interview sometimes. You have to just come up with that and just go with it. You get a prompt, you're oh.
That's actually such a good point. And I know a lot of those improv troupes come in and do corporate stuff. But I think you're completely right. You just have to yes and people and just go with it.
Definitely.
So you probably should practice more.
And if you could swap roles with anyone within the kind a Banijay company or go into a different sort of industry within television, what would that be?
If I was going to do it just for a day, we have this show called Famous Last Words, which are these like amazing interviews with celebrities that only air after they've died. And a new one just came out last week. And I would love to just peek inside and watch some of those because I think those are incredible. And so if I could like open the vault for a day, I would love to go see some of those.
Thank you so much for joining us
Thank
today.
you.